by myself, and it's a little weird, but everything's a little weird these days. So my name's Casey Geller. I've been teaching this class for about 12 years. If you, one thing you can do if you're not speaking, you can mute yourself so that we don't get any feedback. That would be great. About 12 years, I got, and I've been online for every semester since I've come here. And in fact, developed this course 12 years ago, 13 years ago, as an online version of the course. So our program is pretty well versed with online education. I have another degree in educational technology and work with faculty around campus to assist them in making the transition to online. And before that, I was in the private sector forever and different industries all over the world, actually. An interesting career, but none of us have time to listen to all that stuff today. So what I want to do today is kind of take you through our class and tell you how to be successful with this class and where everything is, answer any questions you might have, and we'll go from there. I'm down to one monitor today. Usually I have two. I'm not sure what's going on with the other one. So it's a kind of old school. So I'll have to, I'll ask you to kind of raise your hand. I can see all of you. And if you have a question, and we'll go from there. Okay. So this is Gerontology 400 online. I've merged a couple of classes, sections. I've done that probably all the time, so that everybody kind of gets the same amount of information, the same information at the same time. That's me in a recent picture. I usually put an old one in, but my wife told me to stop doing that. It was truth in advertising issue for her, I don't know. But, so this is my email address, and that's a good way to find me. When you do email me, please let me know that you're in whatever section you're in, and then I to identify you pretty quickly. Office hours typically are right now, but I've put a message on that for today. They'll start at 11, and this is a link that will go throughout the semester. So anytime you want to come in for a visit, you can. And if you have you can't make this time, you can send an email, let me know when you can, and I'll do my best to accommodate you. And then there's just other stuff in here on the home page. In the news, sometimes I'll put things in here that I think are interesting. This one is how to extend your life and all the different possible things you can do. You might look at that and explode it a little bit and see if there's anything you can or you're doing now that's not helping, or what you're doing is helping. And then there's a calendar tool that tells you what's coming up in this course. So we've changed things around a little bit because of the online and the COVID situation. Redesigned the course somewhat to kind of encourage more connection with each other, between students and with me. And we'll be diving a little bit deeper. Typically, this course in the past has been kind of like a very long river that's only 3 inches deep. So we've covered tons of material. But now we're going to every now and then stop and put on the snorkel and the mask and dive down a little bit and take a look at things. And I think the success of that is going to be your communications with each other and with me. And with the content to kind of dive deeper. This topic of ours is one of the cool ones because it's totally universal. Everybody woke up this morning a day older than they were before. And the alternative to, if you're not aging, the alternative is pretty grim because that's really, you're dead, right? And so we're all aging. And when I was your age, I never expected to become my age. It's been a gradual thing. And one day I woke up and said, "Oh my God, I'm an old guy." But and I can tell you now that I'm just as happy now as I've ever been, and each day is just as important. This Wednesday is just as important as every other Wednesday I've ever lived. So that's the home page. I'm going to pull up our, let's see, what have I got? I've got our course schedule. I think I'll start with that. And so, and the course schedule, and this is kind of tentative, and I'll show you where to go in the course when you're in doubt. And believe me, there are hundreds of possibilities for me to make a mistake in a date or time or somewhere in these courses. If you come across anything like that, shoot me an email. I'll fix it right away, and I would appreciate your feedback on that. So we're going to start out week one. Everything is organized in weeks, and our week starts on Wednesday mornings and ends at 8 o'clock and ends on Tuesday nights at 11. So everything is geared on that schedule. And rather than do a Monday to Sunday thing, what I found was that everybody was sort of not happy about having to do work on the weekends. So not that we can do very much on the weekends right now, but so the Wednesday to Tuesday night schedule works pretty good for everybody. And so this, you can review this, you can print it out. Anything in red is things that go into the Dropbox assignments, and there's a couple of them. There's some words you're going to see, like Pechakucha here, that you probably may or may not be aware of what it is. We're going to teach you how to do these, and you're going to probably want to use them the rest of your, at least academic career, and maybe in the workplace as well. And we also discovered over the last couple of years that video or visual materials have more impact in many cases than a couple paragraphs of writing. And there's nothing worse than a textbook that is 400 pages, 8-point type, and no pictures. So so we're going to step back and away from that kind of an approach. So this is the schedule, and then the syllabus here. And so this is me. This is the Zoom link. Same stuff. Wednesday through Tuesday. Learning objectives. The text is available as a day one digital access, and some students, as I said, are having some issues with it, and I'm working with the bookstore to resolve those as quickly as we can. If you do have an issue, please send me an email. Roughly the grading policy, discussion boards are a major part of this course, 55% of it, and we'll get into how that works and how you can maximize your points on this. We're going to ask you to do, by the end of the semester, an interview with an older adult, and write up a paper about that interview and what you learned from it. And you'll also learn a little bit about interviewing. Many students will interview a grandparent. And if you tee that up with the grandparent to say, Grandma, this is an important assignment for me, and if you could help me out with it, I appreciate it. You will be amazed at how much you will discover about that grandparent that you never thought existed. So, and I get a lot of students who come back to me and say, this was the best assignment I've had since I've been in school. So hopefully you'll all have that similar experience. Participation early are going to be a series of infographics, and I'm going to show you how to make those. And then the final project is what's called the Pechakucha, which is kind of a modified PowerPoint format. and that's a little bit different than what you normally see. It avoids the, how many of you have been in presentations that I call death by PowerPoint? And by that, I mean somebody puts up something on the screen with 50 words and then reads every one of them to you when you can read them probably quicker. April, you had a question?
Oh, sorry. I was just raising my hand to say I have been in that type of
Just get kind of exercising. Okay. All right. All right. Cool. So that's what I'll get a little message when if you have a question, you can raise your hand. You can, since I can see you, you can raise your hand like this, and I'll acknowledge that as well. Normal scoring A, B, C, D like that. No D's in this course, no F's in this course, and I don't even like to see C's. That's up to you guys. But and for me, this course is about what you learn, not what you get on a grade. If you learn a lot, you're going to get a great grade. If you don't decide to learn very much, then the grade will be reflected. I don't take late papers, and the exception to that is if you let me know there's something really important that's happening, an emergency of some sort, then you please let me know and I'll work with you. And we've been really talking about this in our program with the COVID situation. It's just a different environment, and we recognize that there are additional challenges, not just for you, but for us as well, to have a successful experience. And we've had a great deal of success with this online class over the years, and I don't expect anything less. We'll ask you by the end of the semester what was important to you, what maybe wasn't important, what you want to learn more of, and we use that information and literally change the course every semester to reflect what your interests are. And it's interesting over the years that students are becoming interested in different topics as time goes on. The rest of this stuff is kind of stuff you see in every syllabus. There's an etiquette, and that's just a matter of having a respectful conversation online, just the same as you would in person. There's a link here if you want to take a look at Albion University College, rather. It has some really good ideas in there. This is all the same. And then the information about the writing assignments and things like that, just some rough information is there in the syllabus. So that's that one. So let's close these down, get back to the course. And so in the content area, there's a lot of stuff. So I'm going to kind of talk about it. So we just talked about the book and then the access.
Than the one we've got. It's got another 110 pages more than the one we've got, and it's not linked to this course, and it probably will cost you as much as possible. I mean, as much as the book we've got in here. All right, let's move down. There's this course schedules. These are information about the things we were talking about, PechaKucha and infographics. And we'll get into that a little bit. The PechaKucha comes at the end of the semester, so we'll be talking about that later. But the infographic, I'd like you to go through these tools. There's some samples of what previous students have done with infographics. Same with PechaKucha, and we'll, again, that's later in the semester. But I would recommend that you go through these and get an idea about what they are, because they're going to come up pretty quickly in the course. And then under the rubrics, we do things in APA, but I'm not really interested in all of the formatting things that APA calls for. But I am interested in when you write a discussion, we call them reflections because we want you to connect the material in the course with what's going on in your life. You have all probably, maybe not all, but many of you have grandparents or parents or older adults in your life that you can relate to some of this stuff to. So in your reflection, we're going to ask you to put 2 outside resources in it, and the 2 outside resources are things that are not available in the course, and there's a lot of things already in here. And one of those 2 should be a conversation, a personal communication, we call it, with an older adult. So if we're talking about retirement, you might want to talk to an older adult and say, so we're working with retirement this week, so what's going on with you on that? Those are the, and then after you have these citations in your text, you'll have a reference section at the end of it that matches those 2, or if you do more. It's kind of like MLA, only it's APA. So MLA is works cited, APA is references. There's a rubric for the infographics, there's a rubric for the life review paper, there's a rubric for the PechaKucha, and it's a 2-part thing. So you're going to do a proposal, and then at the end of the semester, create a narrated PowerPoint. And I've got lots of resources for you to help on that. And I anticipate maybe doing a couple more of these, 2 or 3 more of these sessions, depending on the kind of questions I'm getting. And if you want to get information about things, I'm happy to schedule another Zoom session. It's just hard to get everybody in the same place when you don't have to be anywhere. And these are all links, backup links to things that are already in the course, that are linked in the course. Just in case the link in the course is broken, you can come here. And if we're talking about the science of aging, there's a link here that hopefully is not broken. And so that's the content. Class lists you know about. What I'd like to see, one of the things we're going to ask you to do, and again, this is part of this whole personalization. Some of you have already put pictures in. Those of you who have not, we would ask you to do so. Just makes it more human, I guess. So that's that one. The Dropbox has only some assignments in it. So there is a life review paper proposal, and these are the due dates. Nothing happens for a while in the Dropbox. However, the graphics do, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what those things look like. And there's 8 of those guys, and these will be just on these chapters, and the other, like on chapter 4, it gets covered in a reflection, so you'll have all of that covered in that one. So that's the Dropbox, and they're all due dates, and it's pretty, I think, pretty organized. Zoom we know about. One of the things we did do is drop any kind of exams. There used to be a final exam in this course. There used to be a few quizzes in this course, and we decided, since we're going to dive a little bit deeper into some of the subjects, that I think you'll learn more with our conversations about these topics than you will taking a true, false, or multiple choice quiz. There is one quiz in here that is a practice exam. Let's see, this one, I'm going to get rid of one of them here. I'm going to get rid of this one, because it's an old one. So this practice exam is open this week, and what I want you to do is just go into quizzes, take the exam, don't study for it, please, don't waste time on that. And typically when you see a question, the first answer that comes to mind is probably the best choice of it. And what I want you to do is you're probably not going to do well because this is the first day of class, and by the end of the semester, you'll max this exam. And there are questions that you look at, so, oh, yeah, I know that, and you just make the answer. And if you get a low score, don't worry about it, because everybody before you, for the most part, has done the same thing. It's not designed to humiliate you or give you a downer, but it's designed to kind of let you know what you don't know. And maybe from that, there may be areas that you want to know more about. Something may be happening going on with your family right now, or so forth. So that's the only exam, and it does not count. It is excluded from the final grade. It's just something you can use in your discussion. So that's the only quiz, so no exams. Let's look at the grade book, and then we'll go to surveys, and then finally the discussion board. So the grade book, there's a practice exam. It does have points, but you can see here that it's excluded from final grade, so don't freak out about that one. We have basically 7 kind of reflections. The first one is a kind of all about you. It's a bio discussion, and so it's a low 0.1, it's 25 points. And then the next 5 are really the bulk of this class. And so what we've decided, we used to do this class every week. We had a reflection. So chapter 1 had a reflection, and 2, 3, 4, like that. And then I started to look at the topics themselves and realized that everything found in the first chapters are related to each other. So I decided to ask you to do not one every week, but one for those 4 chapters, and connect the dots between them. All right, and you'll see when you get into the text that, well, we'll see it when we get into the discussion board. You'll see that. And the same as 7 is same thing, 9, 11, and 13, right? So these are each couple chapters that are directly connected to each other. I got the practice exam in here twice. I'm gonna do that, get rid of that too. Don't know why I have it up here. Let me do a little housekeeping while I'm at it, so I can get rid of this guy. All right. Like I say, there's hundreds of places I can make a mistake, and I'm pretty good at making those mistakes. So then this is a grade book, and these are all the points associated with it. There's 1,000 points in the class. There's an extra credit item already in place called Student Readiness Self-Assessment. I recommend you take that because it tells us and yourself how things are in terms of your readiness for this online experience during a pandemic. I mean, literally. So where you can find that is in surveys. And there's a survey here. It closes on September 4th. You just take it. It's confidential, so it's I'm the only other person that's going to be able to see what you put in here. And it asks about some of your habits. It also asks whether or not you've got issues with internet, or you've got issues with software, or you've got issues with an old computer, or whatever it is. And we'd like to know that, and in some cases, be able to assist. So that survey is, yeah, that's pretty important for us to look at. The way I design courses is I put everything in, well, I put it all over the place, but the main area is the discussion board. So when in doubt about a due date or anything else, the discussion board will most likely be the most reliable place. So here's a forum that's will be available all week, all semester. And if you have a general question about the course or about Beach Board or something going on campus, this is the place to put it. And you can see already that I've had a few posts, and I watch this pretty closely and will answer your questions right away. The odds are pretty good that if you've got a question, somebody else in the class has the same question, and they'll be able to see that answer. And you can just drop them in here. So I got two versions. I got to figure out which one is not working. Okay. And then this is designed on a weekly basis. So, so the weekly basis is we have a little bit of an overview about what we're going to be doing that week. In this case, we're going to find out a little bit about you and introduce you to the field of gerontology. A lot of you are in this class because you have to take a writing intensive capstone class, and I get it. But no matter what your major is, no matter what you do in life, aging will be part of that whole equation. And as time goes on, it becomes even a bigger piece of our society. Because currently right now, 10,000 people a day in this country are turning 65, and that's the boomers. And we've got a number of years left for that group to be through the whole 65 thing. And then the millennials are coming, and that's even a larger group than the boomers. And so aging is our whole population in any kind of westernized or developed nation. The overall population is getting older on average every year. The oldest place on the planet, oldest country in terms of their population, you would think would be Japan, which is way up there, but it's not. It's the Principality of Monaco, which is in southern France, and they have a lot of old and probably very rich people in that place. I've been there. I love it. I can't afford to even. It's hard to even drive through and be able to get through without a bank loan, but it's a beautiful place. And so our population is growing, and part of the reason, one of the major drivers, and you'll discover this when you look at some of the demographics, is the birth rate is down. And when the birth rate is down, the overall average age goes way up, especially in light of advancing medical breakthroughs. Our diets are better. Exercise can be better right now. It's hard to get too much exercise in. No gyms or anything like that. But so overall, we are much healthier. During World War I, if you got a cut, it was a pretty good chance you may not make it because we didn't have penicillin. We didn't have the antibiotics that we do today. So the whole world is getting older. And so whatever you're going to do in this world, you'll feel that impact. And then there's a video my colleague has made about what to look for in this chapter. In the first 4 chapters, we've already set up with these videos. They're short. And then there's a couple videos here that are, I think, very interesting. The first one talks about the demographics, and the second one talks about, he's a pretty famous guy in our field, and delivers a powerful video about the aging process in the United States. So for your assessments or assignments, you can call it either way, is to post a reflection for week 1. And so you can see down here is where you're going to be posting them. So what I'm going to ask you to do is on the 30th, which is Friday, no, it's not, it's Sunday, is to get your reflection into the board here, and then go back in here and look around and look at other people's discussion reflections. Find one you may be interested in and responding to, and give a response to that person. Don't say, Quinn, that was the best thing I've ever read. Great job, because that doesn't really continue the conversation. But you might want to say something like, so Quinn, I understand your position on this and whatever it is we were talking about at the time. And I agree with some aspects of it. Here's some other ideas I have. Or if you don't agree with what the person's written, you can do so in a respectful manner and say, so I get what you're saying, Quinn, but I'm sorry, I'm not picking on you, Quinn, but I am kind of. I respect what you have to say, and here's how I see it. Here's an alternative way to view it. And everybody on the planet has an alternative way of looking at whatever they see.
Professor, I had a question for you.
Amazing studies where 50 people are in a room and one thing happens, and then they interview everybody.
Professor?
Everybody has seen something different.
I'm sorry, Professor. I had a question
Totally
for you.
different in some cases, but mostly a different perspective on how they. And we do that because of our own personal experiences and our own personal moral compass and the way we've been brought up. And so we've been individualized since birth. We were individuals at birth, and as we grow and experience things, it even changes more. So that brings me to the idea that it's very easy, and I'm guilty of this as well. If I drive by a senior center and I see a bunch of people out front, in my mind, I think, oh, look at all those old people. The fact is, half of them are probably younger than I am. But it's my mindset, and I have to bring myself back to reality and say, well, you've got other things you're doing, but someday you're going to probably learn how to play bingo. I don't know. I hope not. But anyway. And then there's an overview graphic in the Dropbox that's due on 1st of September. And we're going to look at this a little bit further in a couple minutes. And I would like you to take the exam for this first week. It takes you probably 10, 15 minutes. It's all true, false, so it's pretty quick. And then post your responses here, and this tells you everything that you need to know about that. Someone has already done that. Trevor has already posted in there. He's written to me, he wanted to get access to this course about a week ago and just get started, so he's anxious. So again, on the 30th at 11 o'clock, and all of the assignments in this course are due at 11 p.m., not 11:59. I used to do that, and then people would wait till 11:58, or they thought it was 11:58 and their clock was a little bit slow, and all of a sudden it closed on them and they couldn't get it done. So I highly recommend that you try to get these things done earlier rather than later, just in case the clocks aren't synchronized. And so each week we go through. So the next one we kind of look at the aging demographics. Here's another watch this first video from Jackie's her name. And then this is a very cool tool about population pyramids that you'll learn something about. And notice in week 2 that there is no reflection like there is up here in week 1. So week 2, there's no reflection. There is just the infographic that is going to be posted in the Dropbox. So you can't go into the discussion board because I've locked them, but you'll be able to put your infographic into the Dropbox, and we'll look at that in a minute. I keep saying that. Okay, week 3, so it just goes through like that. Any questions about the format of this? So you're going to have something to do every week. Most of the weeks it's going to be these graphics, and they're kind of easy and interesting to do. It's different than sitting down and writing kind of a synopsis of what you've learned that week. I'd like you to, we tried it a couple of years ago, and every semester we've done it. Halfway through the semester, I asked the students, okay, you guys want to keep doing this, or do you want to go back to writing a couple paragraphs? And it was 100%. We want to keep doing this because it allows you to be a little bit creative, and it's kind of easier to go back and review these kinds of things if you want to, especially for your reflection. So the next big reflection is week 4. And so this will deal with chapters basically 3 and 4. There's lots of video. We like video. And we change these all the time. So, and TED Talks and Khan Academy and just what's out there is just amazing. And it's current and takes less time to gain more knowledge as we feel. All right, so I'm going to get back out of this now, and I want to go to content and look at infographics a little bit. So an infographic basically is a PowerPoint slide. Let's go here. And so let's see if I can give you a sample of what they look like. And these aren't the best ones, unfortunately. I'm going to probably find some more, but these are these were obviously nutrition students who wrote about these things and created these graphics. So let's see if I can get it to work here. Okay, here it is. So this is a graphic about genetically modified foods. This one is kind of busy. There's a lot here on one slide. And I'm going to recommend it, and I'll show you another one in a bit, that you do simpler things, simpler images that reflect what's important to you when your takeaways for each of these topics that we're going to deal with. So let me close this one. I think, let's see if this one does it. Yeah, so this one's much simpler. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is to do a graphic and then create another slide, slide 2, and in a couple of sentences, tell me what I'm looking at. And the more I can look at this and understand what you're saying without having to read your description, the more impactful these infographics are. So you can see that there's not a lot of writing on this one. It's not busy. It's pretty simple and straightforward. You're able to put pretty much any kind of image in here. A lot of past students have used GIFs. One was a funny one where the guy, I'll have to find that one and get it in the class. Some guy was just over and over again, just munching on a big bunch of broccoli, and it was about nutrition there. So any questions about what they look like? All right. So I have other resources for you to kind of look at to see how to do this. And so here's instructions about the infographic. This is a video. There's part 1 and 2 here, and then how to create an infographic in PowerPoint. You can use a regular size slide. It's really a 2-slide PowerPoint presentation. First one is your images, and you can have some text and things like that to go with it on that. And then the second one is just a couple sentences about what your infographic is all about. So let's go to the rubrics. My phone is going crazy today. And so the infographics rubric is pretty simple. I don't know, maybe I want to just download this. All right, so decide on the three biggest takeaways you have for each of these topics that we're going to be looking at over the course of the semester. You should include your resources that you find that you use to generate these infographics. Create the infographic and then write 1 or 2 sentences describing the infographic on the second slide. We good? Okay. And the other thing I'd like to show you is...
I'm sorry, Professor. Hello?
I want to close this guy up. And I want to close this one up. And the other one I want to show you is the reflection rubric. The first one is not as important as the ones coming down, but so let's see, where am I? Discussion board. And I'm going to download that as well. Beach board's pretty slow on some of this stuff. Okay, so here's the discussion. Daniel, you have a hand up?
Yes, Professor. I had a question. So when it says the
You have a question, Daniel?
yeah, real quick. When it says about the infographics, what do you mean by like sources? Like where do you found the picture from? Like the link? Is it like the link to where you found your picture from?
Okay, you can try again.
All right, I'll ask this again. When they say about your if you're asking for like sources for your
All right, I'm not getting your question. So here's plan B. There is a chat room, and I recommend that you can write that, or you can send me an email with your question and I'll answer it. How's that?
I'll just use the chat then. It's just easier that way.
Okay, so in this rubric for the discussion boards, what I'm going to ask you to do is that you saw the 2 dates. So the first one is on the 30th. I can take a look at the calendar. So the first one is always going to be on a Sunday, and the second one is always going to be on the following Tuesday. Your responses. So I'm going to ask, as we talked about, 2 outside resources. One of them should be personal communication with an older adult. Get their take on it. It makes it kind of real. And then these should be somewhere in the neighborhood of 250 to 500 words. I don't weigh them, but I look at the quality rather than quantity. So if you can cover the topic in 250 words, then that's great. If you need 500, then that's what you need. 1 or 2 pages, double space is kind of the equivalent of that. Please use a Word doc. I can't open up dot pages documents. So just put everything into some kind of word processing document. So when you respond, we talk about how to continue the conversation. So what will happen is you'll go in there after you've created your reflection, and you'll go back in and find somebody who has written something that may be of interest to you. Please find somebody who has not had anybody else respond to them, and respond to that person, continue the conversation. And when somebody responds to your reflection, I want you to, after you responded to somebody else, I want you to reply to the person who has responded to you. So we kind of have not just, okay, good job, and that's the end of the conversation. So I would like to expand that a little bit, and each one of these things counts for points. So the 100 points is spread out over different areas, so you can see the different levels of on the rubric for this, and I recommend you have a good look at this stuff. And I think if you review that, it's pretty self-explanatory. I think you'll be fine. Are there any other questions? Somehow my speakers.
Professor,
Quinn, do you have a question?
yes. So Professor, I see that
Okay,
you
so
say,
Quinn, I can't hear you.
you say,
My speakers.
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't hear you right now. Can you send me an email with that question?
Yeah. I can
Okay.
chat.
My speaker's not working. Sorry. It's first day of class. It always happens. I deserve it somehow at some level somewhere. So communicate with me as often as you need to. I want to make sure that you have everything you need to be successful. So the first thing is going to be you're going to do the practice exam. You're going to do your first reflection. You're going to respond to somebody. You're going to reply to someone who's responded to you, and take that as a short survey, if you will, and that's an extra credit situation. And you'll be successfully through the first week and get an idea about how the course is structured and how it works. So I'm going to stop my share. And I'm also going to stop the recording.